Okay, so here we are wrapping up week 3, and I'm giving you a video live from Review Cafe in Fresno, California. Probably not the best place because there's some ambient noise, but I tried to tweak with the settings on the microphone and hopefully you can hear me pretty well. Anyways, I want to touch base with you guys by uploading this live video and kind of going over a few things in the class. So let's do that. I have a little list I'm hitting upon. First, let's do a quick review for week 1, 2, and 3. At this point, for week 1, you've gotten familiar with the course materials, and you've encountered the key question for this course, which is, who is Jesus? That's a question that we try to answer by looking at the things that Jesus said, as well as the things that Jesus did in his ministry. And what's really important about that to take note, I think, is that we understand these things through what other people said about Jesus. So we actually know who Jesus is according to Matthew, who Jesus is according to Mark, who Jesus is according to Luke and John, and technically speaking, even though it's not a story, we could say who Jesus is according to the letters of Paul. So there's something about testimony that's really critical in understanding how we respond to that question, who is Jesus? We know who Jesus is by how he impacts and influences other people. So that's week 1. Week 2, you look at Jesus' baptism, his temptations, and the mighty deeds that he performed in order to bring the kingdom. Now, I know I provided a lecture about this real quick, but I'll just give you a brief overview. Through baptism, Jesus identifies with Israel and lost humanity. Through the temptation, he continues that identification. And then in the mighty deeds, Jesus demonstrates that he has the power to bring the kingdom in our midst, because all those mighty deeds, the wonders, the miracles that he did, demonstrates that the kingdom has come crashing upon us. So that's week 2. Week 3, Jesus the teacher. And the two main things you probably encountered regarding Jesus being a teacher is that he used parables. Quite a number of them, actually. I think Matthew has the most recorded parables. But I believe, except for maybe John, and I should know this off the top of my head, but I apologize for not, all of the Gospels have Jesus teaching in parables. The other thing in the book of Matthew is Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. There's kind of a corresponding counterpart in the Gospel of Luke, which is Jesus' Sermon on the Plain. A lot of similar material between those two, but they're also different. The Sermon on the Mount really is kind of Jesus giving a description of what it's like to live in the kingdom now. And the idea being that the kingdom has come into the world through the ministry of Jesus, but it's not yet here in fullness. We are living in this age between the age. And in the meantime, we have been given instructions for the kind of life that Jesus is calling us to as we prepare ourselves for the fullness of the kingdom that will come at the end of the age, whenever that is. So that's week 2. Now week 3. Oh no, that was week 3. So now I'm going to move away from our review of the weeks that we've just completed, and I want to get into some logistical issues. So first one, group settings for the Temptations 2.3 worksheet was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was not like that in the class I taught prior to this one, the other JCC online class that I taught prior to this one. I used that class to set up the settings for this class, and for whatever reason it didn't transfer over. So if you were not able to submit your worksheet, send that to me directly via email. And if not, I'm sure if you were able to submit it, but not under your name, or I don't know exactly what the chaos was like, I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. And if not, I'll reach out to you. I'll make sure you get credit for that. And if I forget, remind me that I said I'll make sure you get credit for that. So that's Temptations Worksheet 2.3. Regarding the case study for 1.7 that you did during the first week, where you're supposed to pick 2 case studies and begin thinking about what you might do in the signature assignment, I wanted to clarify that you were only doing 2 case studies for that online form. That when you actually do the case study, the signature assignment itself, you're only going to pick 1 case study. You're going to write 6 to 7 pages about 1 case study, not about 2. So I want to make sure that we're clear and on the same page about that. Let me see, what else are we looking at? Oh, the way I approach most of these small assignments, the 5-pointers and the 10-pointers, is kind of credit, no credit. But every now and then I'll ding you for not following directions. That will include, like, if I told you to write 200 to 250 words and you only gave me like 150 words, I might take off a point out of 5, which is not huge, but still. But mostly I'm not really assessing those small points. I'm just trying to see that you actually engage the material. I'm not testing your theological knowledge, so to speak. But I every now and then will ding you if you don't follow directions. So the point being, always follow directions, because you never know if I'm going to ding you on that. Sometimes you'll fly under the radar and I won't. But you're not going to know when I do that. my goal is to give you as much credit as I possibly can, and to be somewhat lenient with respect to grading. However, on the larger assignments, the larger point assignments, off the top of my head, that would be like the Crable assignment, the Three Worlds assignment, the church visit assignment, and the service project assignment, where you have essays. And of course, then the signature assignment, I'm actually going to be assessing those. Usually I spend more time assessing them the more points they are worth. But even in those first 4 assignments, in other words, everything other than the signature assignment, I'm not going to be as critical as I could be. I'm just looking for some basic criteria, which I lay out in quite detail in the syllabus. So if you follow those instructions, you should be fine. However, the signature assignment, that's where I'm kind of really, stepping into professorial mode. Excuse me, there's an insect here. Stepping into professorial mode, if you will, and really looking at your writing. And not only am I critiquing the content of what you write, but how well you write. You are college students after all, so I do have reasonable expectation for that. I will say it's a 400-point assignment out of 1,000. That's 40%. That's a lot of points. So I give you 100 points just for doing the assignment, provided you follow the basic criteria, and then I only assess you on 300 points. So there's a little bit of a buffer that I give you there. What else? Oh yeah, I finally finished week 1. Here we are in the midst of week 3. I finally finished grading week 1 material. I'm also working on week 2, and I hope to finish week 2 materials by the time that you finished week 3. I desire to generally be about 1 week behind what you guys are doing. And then that final week, I get everything all caught up and squared away, and I send you out an email letting you know that the grade book is in place, and you can tell me if I missed anything and all that kind of stuff. But we're not there yet. I'm just kind of letting you know how I operate. Three Worlds assignment. That's originally due Wednesday, but I allow you to turn it in Friday because there were some technical difficulties with that regarding group settings and all that kind of stuff. I think I have it resolved. So it would still be good if you could get the Three Worlds assignment done, the video posted for other members of your group to view by Friday, so that way over the weekend you can interact with one another on that. Regarding the written part, which is the part that I assess you on, also you could turn that in on Friday. A number of you turned it in already on Wednesday. If you did not like what you did and you feel like you could do better, you could submit a revised version. I open it up on Moodle so you can do multiple submissions, and I'm sure I can figure out what the revised one is, because the one with the latest date will be the revised one. So if you want to do that, feel free to do that, and if you're happy with what you have, then just go with it as it is. No problem. Let me see. You have 7 forums online next week for week 4. That's a lot. So I've decided to get rid of one of those forums so that you only have 6. Next week is kind of a hell week. I mean, as if it isn't been already. I realize that's ironic. Jesus in the Christian community, and there's a lot of work you have to do, so it's really tough. But there's a lot of stuff you're doing next week, and so I wanted to remove one of those forums. The forum that I removed was the one about the signature assignment. It was forum 4.9, the one where you do kind of what you did in the first week on 1.7, where you're trying to bring to bear what you've been learning in the past week on your reflection upon a case study or something like that. Well, I got rid of that altogether. In fact, if you look at your grade book right now, I gave you all the 5 points just because you exist. Just because you're a student in your class, I gave you 5 points for that one. So you're welcome. I think that's it for now. This video is at 8 minutes. I wanted it to be shorter, but it is what it is, and I will be in touch in a multiplicity of ways. Bye.